stop using AI tools for a second because I tried building my own and it actually worked. I built a fully functional AI assistant using just JavaScript and it's completely free. No backend, no Python, no React, no paid servers. Most developers still think you need Python to build serious AI apps. They are wrong. And one small mistake almost broke this entire app. I will show you that in a minute. You are going to build a production ready AI assistant from scratch. And by the end, you will have your own working AI tool running locally on your machine. If you are a JavaScript developer who want to build real AI products fast in 2026, stay with me. Let's see it in action. Before we write a single line of code, look at what this thing can actually do. Watch this. I click write JS code and instantly we get a clean AI code generated, syntax highlighted, formatted beautifully, ready to copy. And now watch this light mode, dark mode, instant. Now this is where most tutorials completely fall apart. I refresh the page, everything is still there. The chat history, surveys, refresh automatically. Most AI tutorials look impressive for 5 minutes until real world problems start showing up. This does not feel like a tutorial project. This feels like a real product. This app also includes features most tutorials completely skip. Chat history stored locally, dark and light mode toggle, markdown rendering for clean formatting, syntax highlighting with prism.js, copy code button for code and messages, retry logic for failed API calls, typing indicators, responsive mobile UI, secure HTML sanitization, and everything runs 100% inside the browser. No backend server, no complicated setup, and today I'm showing you every single part of the build process step by step. Hello Code Hunters, I'm Sharat Chandar and you are watching Code Hunter Sharat. On this channel, we build real AI tools using only JavaScript because modern AI development does not need to be overcomplicated anymore. In my previous video, I showed why JavaScript developers don't need Python for AI apps. This video takes that idea even further. Today, we are building a complete AI assistant from scratch. A few days ago, I tried building AI app the traditional way. Backend setup, framework configuration, environment issues, dependency chocks, and honestly, it slowed everything down. So I asked one simple question. What if we remove all of that? What if we build an AI app using only front-end JavaScript? No backend, no frameworks, no complicated architecture, just pure JavaScript. That one decision completely changed this project. And later in the JavaScript session, I will show you the exact architectural choice that made this app feel fast and reliable. Because we are not just making an API request here, we are building something you could genuinely add to your portfolio. And this is part of a bigger series because in the next video, I am taking this even further. We are building a faster AI assistant with near instant responses up to 10x faster, still using JavaScript, still completely free. But first, let's build this one. First step, head over to Google AI Studio and generate your free Gemini API key. This part only takes a minute. Click create API key and click create key. But this is where most developers make a serious mistake. Never expose your API API key publicly. Never commit it to GitHub. For this tutorial, we'll keep everything local for simplicity. But in production, you should always route request through a backend proxy. I will show you the secure production approach in the next video. If you are still watching right now, you are already heard of most developers trying to learn AI development. Now let's set up the project, and we are keeping this ridiculously simple. Just 3 files. So in my desktop, I have already created a project folder name called AI Assistant. Inside that, just 3 files: index.html, style.css, and script.js. That's it. No npm, no frameworks, no build tools, and honestly, that simplicity is one of the biggest reason this app feels so fast. So now I am going to open this with my favorite code editor, Visual Studio Code. So inside this, all the 3 files are empty, and we'll add the HTML boilerplate with the help of embed abbreviation with exclamations. If I hit tab, it will automatically create the HTML boilerplate, and I will change the title to AI Assistant by Code Hunter Sharath, and then adding the description with metadata AI Assistant powered by Gemini 2.5 Flash. We also load a few libraries directly from CDN. First, font from Google API. Anyway, we are using as a Gemini, so we need to use the Google API fonts to sync with that particular AI tools. And then we are going to use the mark.js for markdown rendering, DOM purify for XSS sanitizer, keep HTML safe, prismo.js for syntax highlighting, and we are using style.css and script.js with one more file linking to this. One of these libraries is the reason this app is actually safe to use, and I will explain why in a minute. Let's build the UI. Inside the body, I'm going to create the div with class of chat container. Inside the container, I'm going to add the header. Inside the header tag, I'm going to create one more div with class of header dot with h1 of AI assistant, and then I will add the pan tag with class of header badge. Inside that, we'll mention Gemini 2.5. Next to that, I'm going to add the button with ID of theme btn, and then I will add the class of icon button and your AI label as toggle theme. With this button, we are going to enable the light mode and dark mode, and I am going to add the title with same toggle theme, and I will close the button. So inside that, I am going to add the SVG icon. So I have this SVG icon I have added here, and one more button with the same button ID. This has been clear button and class of icon button, and I'm adding the label with clear chat and then title of clear chat, and I'm closing the button. Inside that, I will add one more SGV icon for brush. First SVG icon for light and dark mode. This is for brush for delete, and then after the header, I'm going to add one more div with ID of chat box. Inside the chat container, we are going to add the chat box with the class of chat box again. Inside this div, I am going to add one more div with class message bot welcome, ID of welcome message. So this is what the welcome message. Hey, I am your AI assistant powered by Gemini 2.5 Flash. Ask me anything or pick a suggestion below. So as it mentioned, we are going to create one more div for chips with ID of chips container. So inside that, I am going to add the first button as a chip with data prompt. Explain how the internet works in simple terms. This is the first chip, and then second chip, write JS code with the data prompt of write a simple JavaScript function to reverse a string. Third button, give me 5 creative YouTube video ideas for a coding channel. And then fourth button, translate something. Translate hello, how are you into Hindi, Tamil and French. And next we are going to add the input area. In above we have a suggestion script we can select, or we can give the free prompt with the help of input area. With the help of div class input area, inside that I'm going to create one more div class with input wrapper. Inside that I'm going to add the input type with text id of user input. With the placeholder, ask me anything. Autocomplete off with a maximum length of 2000. When it crosses 2000, we need to show the color change to the text box. So that I am adding one more span tag with id of character count to show the characters with till 2000. And then I need to create one more button to send the prompt to the AI API. With the help of id send button with the label of send message. For that I am going to set the svg icon of a message sent. That's all from the HTML. If you click to go live, we'll see only the HTML content. So here we can see the title of AI Assistant by Code Hunter Sharath, and here this is the title of AI Assistant with this svg icons of button and with the chips. Now comes the styling. We use variables in CSS. For that I need to use the style.css. So changing from index.html to style.css, first we'll add the CSS variables for basic styling. So first adding the theme variable with the help of root with hyphen assist with the color, and then over color with radius message, and then transition. This is what the variables for the root. And then same way I'm going to add the CSS for dark and light. So this is what the dark. So I have used the data theme with dark with the bg color, glass with glass border and all the parameters. Same for I will use for light as well. The difference between dark and light is only the colors. Based on the bg for dark it will be black, for light it will be white. Same as we have a glass and then glass borders and other stuffs. Whenever we are clicking the theme toggle, based on that it will change. So next I am going to add the before and after for the styles to be reset. I am creating before, same way I will use for after, and then I am resetting box sizing to border box, and I will reset the margin to 0 and padding to 0. And then I'm going to add the styles to the body. With the help of font family, I'm using face grow tag and sans serif with Apple system, and with the help of background with bg, and I'm going to set the min height will be 100 vh, and then display to flags and justify content to be center, align items to be center, and I'm going to set the transition for the entire body with background of variable of where with help of transition. For this transition we have already created the variable. If I navigate to this, we have a 0.25 second is. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see entire body has set to center due to this justify content center. If I change to left, if I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see all the content set to left. So again I am going to change to center. I will save, check once everything is in center. The next thing I am going to add the styles to the chat container. With chat container with the help of class name, and inside that I will add the width of 90%, so I'm not going to occupy the entire 100% with max width of 1000 px and height of 85 vh, and then max height will be 700 px, and I'm going to set the background with the help of where and glass, and then I'm going to set the backdrop filter with blur of 20 px, and then I will set the WebKit backdrop with same blur of 20, and I'm setting the border to the glass of chat container 1px solid with glass border, and I'm going to set the border radius to 24px. Display should be flux direction will be column, and then overflow I set to hidden, and I need to set the box shadow to the chat container, and I'm adding the transition with the help of background where transition with border color with where of transition animation with box shadow. If I save, if I go to the browser, it align to top. So next I'm going to set the header styles with the help of header. Header is an HTML tag, so we are not going to set the dot. For the header, I'm setting the padding of 15px, 18px, and display will be flags. Align item center again. I will give the gap of 9px for the dot and then buttons with the help of border bottom with 1px solid with glass border. And I will set the background with header bg, and I will set the flex shrink for 0. And the next thing I'm going to set the header dot. Header dot is a class, so we are using the dot. For that I'm going to use the width of 9px, height of 9px, border radius to 50%, and then I'm setting the background color with green. I'm setting the box shadow and then flux sync. Along with that I'm adding the animation 2 plus dot 2 second is in and out infinite. What it will do, it will do the animation for 2 second in and out of infinite. For this plus dot we need to add the keyframe. At keyframes 0 to 100%, opacity to 150%, opacity to 0.5. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see the AI assistant is blinking. This is due to that header. We'll fix that. Next, CSS will add for header h2. Again, it is a HTML element. We are not going to define anything. For the h2, I set the flex 1 with color of text primary. I have set the font size to 0.9 rem. Font weight will be 600. Letter spacing 0.4. Next thing, I will add the header badge styles. For that, I set the font size to 0.68 rem. Font size 500. I have set the color background with border radius. Then next, I am going to add the styles to the icon button. With the help of width and height of 32px, it will be uniform size. And again, display flags with align item center with transition and flux sync. And I'm going to add the icon button over with class color of where icon color and then background of tip over. Next, we'll add the data theme for each icon. First for icon sun, next for icon moon, next for icon moon for light, next for icon sun for light. Data theme based on the dark and light will set the displays none to block. If I save, if I go to the browser, still this AI assistant is blinking. Along with this, we'll fix this. I'll go to the index.html. I see this HTML is opened but it not closed. I will open this. I will save. If I go to the browser now, this AI assistant title is not blinking. Only the header dot is blinking. And now here we can see the sun and moon icon. Next, we'll add the styles to the chat box. Again, I'm jump to the style.css. I will add the chat box with flux 1, adding of 18px with overlay auto, display to be flux direction will be column. And then I will set the chat box WebKit scroll bar for width of 4px. Whenever the text expanding within that limit will get the scroll bar. For that I am setting the width of 4px, and then I will set the scroll bar track for transparent of background, and then I will set the WebKit scroll bar thumb of background with border radius of 10px. Now if I save, if I go to the browser, now here we can see the box of chat. Next I will add the styles to the chips with the help of dot chips class with display flags. I need to set all the chips in a single row. So I set the display flags with flux wrap equal to wrap. Then I will set the individual chip with font family of space group stack and with the font size with padding with cursor and then transition. Now I will set the chip over to the background with transform of translate y to -1px. What this will do, whenever we are hovering on the chip, it will little pop over on this. So we'll see that. Now I will save. I will go to the browser. So if I go here, you can able to see the text is popping up for 1px. That is how the hover will work. Next I will add the styles to the message with the help of padding, border radius and then max width with animation of fade in. If it is a fade in, I need to add the keyframe of animation. At keyframe with fade in, opacity to transform. After adding the styles to the message, still I could not able to see the chat container in browser, right? So I will go to the browser. I will check with the insert element. I will check the element. So here HTML we have missed here. So for that I will go to the HTML file and I will add the data theme here, because based on this HTML tag we are adding the data theme as an dark by default. So this data theme dark, it will identify here in the default data. Here we have this data theme as dark. With this attribute, it will set the styles to the entire HTML. If I save, if I go to the browser, now I can able to see the glassify effect here. Instead of dark, if I set to light, if I save again, if I go to the browser, we can able to see the chat container with border over and border effect. So I will set by default as dark. Now here we can able to see this. Post that message will add the styles to the user with the help of background color with accent and then color of alignment. Then we'll add the styles to the bot with background and then color and then align self with self start flex start with the help of bot dot welcome with bot dot error with the bot dot p with the paragraph tag and with bot dot p of last child will be margin of bottom 0, and whenever we are adding the bot of ol and ul will be with the margin and bot with li, and whenever we are getting bot h1 h2 and h3 we are setting the font size to 0.95 and color will be text primary, and with bot strong and with the help of bot code we are adding the font family of Piracode and cursor new, and whenever we are giving the preview to the bot we are adding the position with styles, and we are adding the pre-code with background with line height of 1.5. Same way we have added the code snippet with code block header and code lang with code copy button. These are all the classes dynamically we are able to bind in JavaScript. Along with this I am going to add the class with copy button. This is the copy button we have get as an dynamic button inside the message as well as inside the response, and for same for bot over and then copy button over, whenever the copy button copied we are setting the color to change of green, and then I will add the class to the typing indicator with the typing indicator of span tag with child 2 and child 3. This will be able to see as an blink of two dots like typing, and for this two dot I have added the bounce. Based on these two dots it will be bounce between translate y and translate y for 5x. So then we can able to see this as a typing effect. Now again back to the UI with input wrapper. For this input wrapper we have a input area. In the bottom of this I have added the class with input area with padding with gap of 9px and border top, and inside that we have a input wrapper and we have the input type of text. For this text we have the transition with border color, and we have adding the placeholder color to text muted with opacity, and whenever we are focusing on the text input the border color and background will be changed, and the input also disabled whenever we are getting the response from an API. If I save, if I go to the browser, blinking of input whenever I'm overing we are able to see the difference on the color. Next to that we have a character count. For that I'm adding the classes with char count with the style of position and then color wrap, and then here we are adding the warning of char count with char warm. This will be an orange color. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can able to see 0/2000. Next we'll add the styles to the button sent. So we have a button of input element and then ID of sent button. So we are using the hash, and I have added the styles with transition of background. Whenever we are overing this we have to translate with -1px. Whenever it is active will transform, and then as same as the input we have also disabled this button whenever we are getting the response. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can able to see the send button with over effect. Next we'll have a stream cursor whenever we are typing. So this is also a dynamically binding class. We'll say it in JS path, and I am adding the animation with blink of keyframe, and I'm adding the bomb.streaming to be left of 2px, and this is the most important part for responsiveness. So I'm adding the media query. This will take care for max width of 480px. It will be small mobile device, and inside that I will add the chat container class. Whenever we are getting this 480px of width it will be taken from inside this block. So inside this I am adding the width of 100% and height of 100 vh vh with max height of 100 vh with border radius of 0. This will be not only for chat container, I will add for messages as well. Whenever this is a message, I will set the max width to 92%. So it will be showcased inside the 92% of the chat window. And I will add the cutoff warning with font size of 12px. Color will be orange color as because this is a warning. I'm setting a padding of 4px, 12px and 8px, and I set the opacity to 0.8. This will help when the character count get close to the limit. The counter changes color automatically. Tiny details, but details like this are what separate beginner projects from polished product. But honestly, UI is the easy part. The real challenge is reliability. Now this is where everything becomes production ready. We'll move to script.js. First, we'll import the Google Generative AI from https Google Generative/AI. This will import the Google Generative AI from the CDN. Then I will add the const of API key. Inside this, we'll add our API key where we generated from our Google AI Studio. And then I will add some of the default const with const of storage key equal to CHS chat ht. Nothing about CHS is a code enter sharat. And again I will create one more const with max history equal to 50 and one more const with max retries equal to 3 and one more const with max input length equal to 2000 because we have mentioned 2000 in the HTML. So next I am going to add the one more cost with gen AI equal to that new generative AI with API key and with the object of API version of v1 beta. So right now we are using the beta version as new model. Next one more const new model equal to above gen AI dot get generative model with object of model hyphen Gemini 2.5 flash as we have already mentioned in the meta description. Next thing I am going to add all the DOM with element ID with const of chatbox document dot get element by ID with chatbox. The same way wherever we have the ID initialization in HTML, I have created the const with document. Document is nothing but document object model from Windows JavaScript API. And then I am creating one function with init theme. This will help us to create the theme and save it into the local storage. I'm creating the const again with saved equal to local storage dot get item, again code enter sharat of CHS theme, and I'm setting the default as dark, and I am using document dot document element dot set attribute data theme into saved. And for this theme we have already created the DOM button for the button click. So I'm using this with the help of theme button dot add event listener for click. Inside this event listener I'm going to create the one more const with current equal to I need to get the get attribute from data theme, and I'm going to create one more const with next triple equal to dark or light. It might be a dark or it might be the light, and by default it will be dark. And next again I'm setting this document dot model with document element of set attribute to the next theme to set of next, and again I'm setting the local storage dot set item to the next. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on this icon, it will automatically change the theme of mode toggle. If I see the application memory with local storage, here I can see the theme of code enter sharat as light. If I click again on the theme, it will change to dark. If I click on again, it will change to light. I will close this. Now next thing, whenever I'm typing, still the count is 0. That I need to fix. For that we have this user input of DOM with the help of add event listener with input. Inside that I will create the condition. For that I will create one more const with length of len equal to user input dot value dot length. This will get the user input of value. This value contains what are the characters we are placing into the input box, and with the help of length length, we'll get the total value. And then here we have this character count as one more DOM of document ID, and with the help of text count equal to, we need to change the characters length there. For that I'm going to concatenate this length with bracket, and I need to set the maximum input length. Character count dot class list dot toggle, we have created the class of warning with one length greater than max input length into 85% of the characters. If I save, if I go to the browser, here if I type, here we can able to see the text count. Until if I type with 85% of 2000, we can able to see the color is changed to red. Until the 85% it will be reduced. That's how this will work. Next I will create the function with load history with the help of try catch. Inside the try I will return the json.parse of get storage of storage key, else I will set the empty array, because in first time we'll get the empty array. If it is a new browser, we don't have any storage key in the browser local storage, so that time we'll get error. So I'm returning the array of empty array. And then I will create one more function with save history, and I'm passing the history here, and inside that I'm creating the const with trimmed equal to history dot slice equal to max history. Again I'm creating the try catch. Inside the try I'm setting the local storage dot set storage of set item with json of stringify with trimmed value. Again if we are getting the error, I need to set the catch of local storage need to be removed that, and I'm closing this function. Post that I will create one more function with build Gemini history. Again I'm passing the history here. Inside this function I will add the return with history of map with item. Inside that I will set the role. If the role equal to, we are getting the item dot sender will equal to user or model, and we have some parts with text item null. And I will create one more let as global variable for the save history, and here I will load the history from that method. Whenever we are checking this save history, it will load the json from storage key, else it will give the empty array. Next I will create one more function for restore message. This is the function will return and persist the saved message. If save history dot length will equal to 0, then we are not going to set anything, then we'll return it from here. Else will show the welcome message. We will hide it with the help of style and display dot none, and will remove the chip els of same thing for none. Whenever we are getting the response, we need to remove all of this, right? And I will have the save history dot for each, and I'm getting all the items to be rendered with the message, and inside that we are sending the item dot sender and item dot text, and we need to scroll to the bottom. For that I will create one more method to scroll to bottom. For that I will create the function of scroll to bottom. In this scroll to bottom we'll have the chatbox dot scroll top of object. We need to set the top of chatbox with scroll height behavior to be smooth. Whenever we are restoring the message, it will automatically move to the bottom of the width. And next I will add the clear button dot add event listener to clear all the objects here with the help of click. Inside that, whenever we are clearing, we need to set everything to be default. For that, first I am setting the save history to empty, and again save history of function that will set the empty array chatbox dot inner html equal to null chatbox dot pan message equal to welcome message. With this welcome messages we have set to this, and then again chatbox dot append child, we need to set the chip of el. This will be all the chips, and we need to set the welcome message to null and then chips to be null. Then we'll start the chat session again. So for that I'm creating one more method called start chat session. For that I'm creating one function with start chat session, and next to this function I will add chip el dot query selector all. Whenever we are clicking this, we'll get all the inside element with the class of chip. So inside that, whenever we are clicking this, we'll get the chip of individual. So I will add the each chip chip of add event listener. For that each chips we have a each click. So whenever we have a each click, so I'm creating one const with I'm getting the prompt from this. With this chip you already aware we have set the data set there with the help of chip dot data set dot prompt. This will get the prompt inside the HTML we have. If prompt present will set the hide welcome UI. We are creating one function and we are hiding the hide welcome UI, and then I'm creating one more function to generate response, and then I'm passing the prompt here. Post that I'm creating one more function of hide welcome UI. Inside that I will hide both the welcome message as well as the chip ELs. And now I'm going to create the chat session with the help of global variable of chat. With this chat I need to assign the model dot chat. With the help of object we have the history of built Gemini history, and we have the saved method here. Next to this we need to generate the configuration. For that we have a generation config with maximum token of 1000, and then we have a temperature also 0.7. This temperature is an accuracy. Right now I give as with the generation config, and then max token I will set 8192, some random number, and I'm setting the think config of thinking config with thinking budget 0. So based on this thinking config, 0 equal to off. If you are setting -1 equal to auto. If you are setting 1024 thinking on. Gemini 2.5 flash as a thinking mode that burns token internally. So we are setting this thinking config to budget of 0. And next we'll create one more function with create streaming bubble. With this function we'll create the const wrap. It will be help of with document dot create element. Inside that we are going to create the div. So with the help of wrap dot class list dot add, I'm setting to message, and we are adding the classes to the style.css as this, and we are adding all the class into the div. Post that I will add this div into the chat box dot append child of wrap, and again I need to set to scroll to bottom, and I will return the wrap from here. And again one more function with update streaming bubble and content. Inside that I'm going to create one more const with raw HTML, and here we have the mark dot pass of full. Will change this as full text, and here also will be full text. And post that I will create one more const of clear HTML equal to dom purify dot sanitize raw HTML. As you ever we have added to CDN in the HTML, and we'll add the bubble dot inner HTML equal to clean HTML plus will add the span tag of cursor. So it will add the clean HTML with one span tag. With this cursor it will help to add the blinking on there. For that also we have already added the class, and then we'll add the function with finalize streaming bubble with bubble and full text. Inside that I will add bubble dot class list dot remove streaming. Whenever we are finalizing we'll remove the streaming of class, and I will create one more const raw HTML equal to I will parse again, and again I will bubble dot inner HTML. Again I will purify, and I will add the add code header as bubbles, and this method I need to add if window dot prism. This prism highlighted will be handled for this code block, and whenever we are getting the bubble dot append child with make copy code. So this will help us to copy the button of full text from the response. Again I will set the scroll to bottom. Whenever I am getting this I need to set everything to be scroll to the bottom, and on the top for the marked JS I need to set the options here. For that I will add marked.set options. Will set the break true, GFM true, ADIDS false. So this is what the option. With the help of this we'll get the marked style highlighted, and then now I will create the function with async because we need to sync the function generated response. So I will create the generated response prompt with retry count. As you remember, we are using the retry count for this. So whenever we are generating this, I will hide the welcome UI first. I will set the UIBC. For that, I will use the function with UIBC of true. For that, I will create the function of UIBC and I will make this as an empty. And then I will call the render message of user prompt. As you remember, on the top, we have set the render message user or model. This is based on we are sending as an prompt that will be an user. If the model responds a result, that will be for model. Right now, this is the prompt as a user, and then I will save history with push sender as user, text as prompt, and I will call the save history function with the help of this save history, and I need to set the user input value equal to null, and again I need to set the character to be 0 of text count of character count as well, because we are setting the user input as 0, and we need to remove the warning classes on the character count. And then I'm creating one const with typing element of typing el equal to short typing, and again I'm creating one more function of short typing, and then I'm creating the try catch with error, because this is how the retry logic will work. For this, I will set the const of result equal to we need to await with response, or await of chat dot send message stream with the help of prompt, and I will set the console dot log of result to see the response here. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I refresh, if I click on any chips, nothing is happened. I will check in the console. For that, I will click on F12. Here we are getting the uncatched syntax error. Identifier save history has already been declared, means this save history has duplicated. Again, I will jump to the VS Code. I will check for this save history. So here we have defined function as save history as well as let us save history. Because of this, we are getting the error. I will change this to saved history. Once I changed, the Copilot help us to change in all the places. In the upcoming videos, we will learn how to use Copilot effectively. I change this and it is asking to change here, here and here. Here it is a saved history and I need to pass this into the function. Now if I save, if I go to the browser again, if I refresh, now the error is gone. If I click, we are getting the error render message is not defined, because here we have created this render message, we have not created the function as such. So only we are getting this error. So for that, I'm going to create one more function with render message with sender and text, and one more property of is error equal to false. Inside this, I'm going to create the const with wrap equal to document dot create element of div. We are going to create the div with message of sender, and I'm creating the if error wrap class added will set the error, else if sender will be equal to bot and then not of error will add the one more const with raw HTML with marked post and clean HTML with the help of DOM purify. I will set the wrap inner HTML equal to clean HTML, add code header of wraps if prism.highlighted wrap. Whenever we are getting the code, we need to highlight this, and I will add the wrap of add child will be make copy button. We need to copy this button with the help of this markdown prism, and else I will add the wrap text content equal to text. Post that I will append the chat box dot append child equal to wrap, and I will set the scroll to bottom, and I will return the wrap from here. Now if I save, if I go to the browser, if I refresh, if I click on this, now we are getting chat box dot scroll top is not a function. And then I need to create one more function of add code header with a container. Inside that I will add the container dot query selector all with free, and I will set the for each of free. Inside this will check if code block dot query selector will be code block header will be written, else will add the const of code element equal to code block dot query selector of code, and will check if el null, then will return, and will add the const of lang class equal to object of code el.classList dot find c dot language, and we'll find the language of code, and we'll set the const header equal to document dot create element of div, and we'll set the class header of code block header, and then we'll set the const of lang label equal to document dot create element of span. I will set lang label dot class name equal to code slash lang, and then lang label equal to lang, and we'll create one more const of code copy button equal to button, and I will set the code copy button class name of code copy button, and I will add the text content of copy, and I will create the add event listener for the click. Inside that we'll add the navigator to copy to the clipboard. Inside this navigator I will add the code copy button dot text content equal to copied, and we'll add the code copy button dot class list dot add copied, and we'll set the timeout of text copied, and then we'll remove the copied with a time of 2 milliseconds, and then we'll append the header dot append child with lang label, and then header dot append child of copy button, and code block dot insert set for header code block dot first child. We'll create one more function of make copy button with text. Inside that I will create one more const of button with create of button. Inside that I will create button class to copy button, and then we'll add the button title equal to copy message, and we'll set the btn dot inner html equal to, we'll set some svg after copied. I will use the svg of copy button, and then we'll set the button dot add even listener click. Inside that we'll stop the e dot stop propagation, and once it propagates we'll add the navigator dot clipboard dot write text with text, and inside that we'll set the btn dot class list dot add copied with icon set with none and block. So copied again same as this with 2000, and then we'll return the button from here, and then I will add the show typing. So this is what the indicator with el of const equal to, we are creating a div el dot class name equal to typing indicator, and el dot inner html equal to, will add the 3 span tag, because for this already we have added the class, and we'll set to scroll to bottom, and we'll return the el. So with this we'll create one more function with remove typing. Whenever we are adding the typing we need to remove as well. If el not of null dot parent node will remove the child of el parent node with el of typing element, and then we have already added the set ui bc. With that we'll set this bc of user element, and we'll disable the send button if is busy, and we'll set the user input as focus, and then we'll add the send button dot add event listener. Inside that we'll set the const of prompt equal to user input dot value dot trim. We'll add the condition here if we'll set prompt and then prompt dot length greater than input length, then we'll set the generate response as prompt. Whenever we are sending this button we'll set to this, and then we need to add the user input of add event listener for key down. So this will help us to set the key down value to be reduced for the char count. If e dot key double equal to char count, as well as whenever we click on enter this will call the generate response. So if e dot key triple equal to enter or shift key will set prevent default, post that it should not call anything, and then again we'll create the const of prompt with user input, and then same thing what above we did for the send, and I will save this, and then I will init the theme, and I will start the chat session, and will set the restore messages. These are all the default methods. It will be handled into the JS. If I save, if I go to the browser, now still we are getting chatbox.scrollTop is not a function. Now I fix the error and I click the YouTube video ideas. Now we can able to see the typing indicator whenever we are clicking this as an user. I'm getting a forbidden. Why? Because I have not placed the API key here. Place your API key here. And now again I will jump to the browser. Now if I refresh, now we are not getting anything. So I will clear this history. Now we are getting I'm your AI assistant. Now I'm clicking how the internet works. Now I'm getting the typing indicator and that's it. Here still we are getting the user payload. Once we get the response, we can able to see the response here. In the network, if I go and see the preview, we can able to see the candidate content. Imagine the internet as a giant worldwide network. This is how the content, and here we can see the raw HTMLs. At some places we have a special characters as well. So with the help of Markdown and Prism, we are able to show this as an view. So now we need to generate this as an response. So for that, once we get the console.log, we need to add the process here. Now I will remove the console.log from here, and then I will create one let full text of null let bot bubble equal to null. Post that, I will create a for each of await with const of result. As you see, we are getting everything as in chunk text. I will create const with chunk text equal to part of text. And then I will append this to full text equal to chunk. And then I will check if not of bot bubble. Will remove the typing indicator from here and will add the bot bubble to create streamline building. Now if I save, if I go to the browser again, if I refresh, nothing is there. Again I will click YouTube videos. Now we are getting the responses. Still it is pending. Once it's loaded, we'll get the preview of chunks. So still we have not yet implemented. We can able to see the content of chunks. With that, I will update the stream bundled with full text. With that, const of response equal to will await result dot response. Once we get the response, we'll add the one more const of final reason equal to result of response of candidates of final reason. If we get the final reason and final reason not equal to stop. Some places will get this as in stop. Based on that, inside this if we'll add const one equal to document dot create element of div. We'll add the warm of class name of cutoff warning. As you remember, we have added this at the last. And then warm text content equal to, we'll add the final reason will equal to, and we'll add the response cutoff and then token highlighted. Once it's got, we'll add the chat box dot append child of warning and scroll to bottom. Once everything is there, we'll save the saved history dot push sender as bot with full text, and again save history of saved history. If I save, if I go to the browser, I will delete, I will create a new text, I will click how the internet works. Now still this is pending, it is not appending. We'll check it in memory application, it is adding into the sender where the internet works, but we have not received the response. Before checking to that, we'll add the retry logic as well. Whenever we are getting the error, we need to remove the typing with remove el, and then we'll get the const of is 503. So this is where we are getting the error state equal to error dot message dot includes 503. Whenever we got this, if is 503 and then retry logic less than maximum retries. We have a maximum retries of 3, and we'll set const weight equal to retry logic plus 1 hyphen history 3, and then we'll create one more const with retry message rendering bot server busy retry in a minute, and then we'll set the set timeout retry message dot remove, and we'll generate the response with retry count of 1 until we'll wait into asterisk of 1000. What it will do, wait for 1 or 2 into 1 second, 2 second and 3 seconds. Post that, we'll set the set UI busy, and then we'll return. Else we'll set the const message of server overloaded including check key. If the key is not there, we'll will add it here. And I'm setting the UIBC into this. Now again I'm going to the browser. I click with YouTube video ideas. Now let's see what we are getting here. I got the response. Along with that I'm getting the error. EL is not defined. So here itself it mentioned 295. This is not the EL. This is typing EL. So I have fixed that EL. Now I'm going to the browser. I'm clearing the chat. Again I'm clicking the how internet works. I'll check the network. Now we are getting the response with a fetch. I will close the console. So here we can able to see the how the internet works. Now again I'm asking the question to generate a reverse string in JavaScript. Now again the typing indicator is working. Now I'll change to light mode. So this is how the response we are getting. We have the function, we can able to copy and we can able to paste it here. And then same way we can copy the code block as well. And again I'm refreshing the page. Now we can able to see the theme as well as the text history also stored in local storage. Based on that we are getting here. I will delete. Again I will click for YouTube ideas. It will generate the concept of 5 YouTube ideas here in the response. I will go to dark mode and I will translate something. Here we can able to see in translate with Hindi, Tamil and then French. And here we have a JavaScript function to add a reverse string. Now let's test everything. Markdown rendering work perfectly. Code highlighting instant, copy buttons working. Dark mode, light mode, smooth. Refresh the page and everything is still there. Chat history surveys automatically. This is not just a demo project. This is a real AI application. And honestly, most tutorials keep the exact things that make projects feels professional. Mistake number one, not sanitizing AI output. Without DOM purify, you are trusting raw HTML generated by AI. That's a security nightmare. Mistake number two, no trimming local storage history. Eventually, the browser stores codes, get it, and the app stop working silently. Mistake number three, not handling API failures. When Gemini return errors, most app crash immediately. Ours retry logic automatically. Those three things alone make this feel like a real product instead of a beginner tutorial. Now let's deploy it. For that I went to the my GitHub repository and I'm creating AI assistant as an repository name, and now I will create the repository, and into the files I'm uploading the existing files. I'm choosing the files from an desktop. This AI assistant, I'm selecting all the three files. I click open. Now I'm adding all the three files here, and within a minute I'm adding the commands, full source code, and I'm commenting the changes. And we need to go to the settings with the pages. We need to set the branches as main and it's automatically deployed. So now we have this link with code under Sharath GitHub IO with slash of repository name with the github.io of code under Sharath and AI assistant. Boom. Now we can able to see the AI assistant at live. If I click the same, now we can able to see the full generated output. Before you deploy, remember these three rules. Always sanitize AI output. Always trim local storage. Always handle API failures gracefully. These three habits alone will instantly improve your AI projects, and that's the complete build. You now have your own production ready AI assistant built entirely using JavaScript. No backend, no framework, no complicated setup. If you build this project, don't just watch the tutorial. Ship it, customize it, break it, improve it. That's how you actually learn AI development. And if you are a JavaScript developer who's tried off over complicated AI setups, command JS AI below. If you actually build this project, command build it. I genuinely want to see who's building alongside me. It like if this changed how you think about AI development. And subscribe because the next video is going to be even crazier. Different concept with near instant AI response. Thanks for watching Code Hunters. Now go build something awesome. I will see you in the next hunt.